So we're at pages 172 and 173. And honorable members, I now propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 31, Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The honorable member, Ms. Annette Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A pleasant evening. And to my special staff of the Ministry of Public Works, a pleasant evening too. Okay, so Mr. Chair, if I can turn the committee's attention and the honorable member attention to staffing details on page 173. Mr. Minister, I recognize we have a decline by 10 staff as compared to 2023. Can you explain to the committee what would have caused this decline by 10 staff?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would like to thank the honorable member for the question and our expressions. I will be happy to have her on staff. And the reasons for the reduction is because persons have either resigned or have departed for other reasons. That's the short answer. I could give it a long answer, but that's a short answer. And I think the House wants a short answer this time.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I thank the honorable member for his very short response to my question. I now turn the honorable member's attention to item 6264, vehicle spares and service. Honorable member, I recognize that in 2023, you had $7 million. And then there was a revised sum of 12.255 million. First question, sir, can you explain to this committee of supply what have caused this increase, and since and how the ministry was able to spend more than what was actually budgeted?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the honorable member who was a part of government is fully aware of the process of environment. And so the money was wired. And she would appreciate that with the stellar performance of the Ministry of Public Works and the magnitude of what is being done in the country, that our vehicle fleet came under tremendous stress because we are working in every single region. So that is the reason. But right now, and the reason why we still have back a small allocation for 2024 is because we are recapitalizing our fleet with new vehicles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. You would have preempted.
Honorable member.
Were you saying something, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, you started talking before I gave you the floor. That's right.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
That's
sorry.
okay.
You know, anxiety. Okay.
Go ahead. Yes, you may.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, security, I turn the honorable member attention to 6281, security services. I note we had a revised sum of 220 million for 2023, but in 2024, there's an increase as against the budgeted sum in 2023. So can the honorable member explain to the Committee of Supply what would have caused this increase from 2023 to 2024?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would like to advise the honorable member of the House that during the period of 2023, we went out for open tender to procure security services. You would be aware that there is a raise in the minimum wage in Guyana. So some of our security people were normally the lower paid bracket. So in the new bids, in order for security companies to satisfy the Minister of Labor and the regulations that he would have made, we cannot pay people below the minimum wage. And coming into where we are now, this would adequately take care of the contracts that we have in place for the security services that are to be provided.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I thank the honorable member for his response. But a follow-up on this particular line item. Mr. Minister, I am fully cognizant that the Ministry of Public Works, then as it was, had security services being provided by the Special Constabulary Unit of the Guyana Police Force. Am I to understand that under this new dispensation that y'all would have dissolved the services provided by the Special Constabulary, hence you've now contracted for private security services? That's one. And secondly, can you say which security firm is currently providing services at the Ministry of Public Works?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be pleased to inform the honorable member and the House that the Special Constabulary still provides that useful and valuable service at the Ministry of Public Works. What we have here is augmented services to take care of the magnitude of what is taking place at the Ministry of Public Works. So I can tell you that we have two companies apart from the Special Constabulary that is providing services: Sheriff Security Inc. and Elite Protection Services, both procured through open tender.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I guess like me, as you traverse around the city and across this nation, I've recognized a number of blue and white signs all posted all around the place. Security service. So it seems as though that this particular security service is a special service. But that being said, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, moving on. I now turn the honorable member attention to 6321, subsidies and contributions to local organizations. I've noted an increase from the revised sum of 2023 to 1.89 billion Guyana dollars. Can the honorable member explain the reason for the increase as against 2023 and that of 2024? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the honorable member could follow as a member of this House, would know that we would have come to the House for a supplementary for the Transport and Harbors Department, and we would have no fault of the PPPC, because of the empty coffers at GCAA, we would have had to be providing a subsidy to the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority. So that is the reasons why we are here, sir.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I just want to remind the honorable member, he's a man of God. So whenever he comes to this house, he have to be truthful. Speak the truth and it shall set you free, Bishop. Moving on, Mr. Chair, to the honorable member. 6322, subsidies and contributions to international organizations. I've noted, a very small increase between 2023 and that of 2024. Can the honorable member state for this committee of supply what would have occasioned this increase? Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I accept the admonition of my dear sister, but just to indicate, truth cannot speak lies, but liars can tell the truth sometimes. So while we proceed with this, sir, I will just indicate that this is as a result of our contributions to the ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Authority worldwide body, and the CASAS, which is our regional body, and it's based on our assessment.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson. Honorable Member, Ms. Amanzo
Thank you,
Walton Jazir.
Mr. Chair. I'm deeply interested in the minister's statement on the empty coffers, and I wanting to ask the minister whether he could. It's a follow-up from the item that Ms. Ferguson 6321 would have posed. I was trying to get your attention before the last question.
Go ahead, Honorable.
Yes, I wanted to ask the Honorable Minister whether he could clarify for this House the effect of the cessation of flights during the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on the revenue of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority. Because I would hate to think that he is inferring that somehow empty coffers were as a result of something else other than the fact that flights were grounded and there was no revenue coming from that. And that is the primary earner of revenue for the Civil Aviation Authority.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When we left government, sir, in 2015, the GCAA had at least $1 billion in its accounts. When we returned to office, sir, I argued at the time, if you recall, I presented budget 2020 to this House, and we had to come to this House for monies to keep the reserve of the GCAA at the legal limit, because the expenditure had even gone into the reserves. And if you check the books of the GCAA, you will see where the monies went. It was not transferred to the consolidated fund. It was expended. And the expenditure that was made, we could argue here for the rest of the night if it was justifiable or not justifiable. For example, paying rental for offices for a chairman that is non-executive, furnishing the offices of a chairman that is not an executive chairman. And I wouldn't want to go into the details of that since names might have to be called. But the bottom line is, if we manage well, we will be able to manage even in difficult times like the PPPC would have done in the past.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member.
Chair, I tend to follow up with this because I have a problem with us not being clear on certain things. The chairman of the GCA, was he housed differently from the office? The other point of the general office, the other point that the other clarification that I want to ask coming off of the minister's question is whether or not in the period of 2015 to 2020, did the Civil Aviation Authority not up its compliance ratings with ICAO to 70, how much percent? I can't remember the exact figure. And was there not expenditure incurred as a result of us having to become ICAO compliant? And you have not yet answered my questions as to the depletion of the revenue for the year and something, close to 2 years that our airspace was closed. Overflights were cut by how much? And so bring the facts to the House, please, and don't make insinuations.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would like to stay away from dog fights tonight. But the honorable member who's asking the question would know that there is an exchange of correspondence as it relates to her and her presence in a particular organization and her appointment, which didn't even have the approval of the government of Guyana, so to speak. The minister concerned was not even assured that that was an appointment that was made. The correspondences are all there. So I'm saying recklessness as it relates to spending on things that are not policy driven. COVID had an impact because we lost revenue because of the absence of overflights, but that did not contribute to the total deficit that we reached. The annual reports of the GCAA and the audited statements have all been tabled in this National Assembly.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, Honorable Member.
Maybe the honorable member will be revenue was depleted because of the lack of flights. It's the first question that I asked. I want the honorable member would be kind enough to the almost 2-year hiatus of overflight from our airspace. I'd be happy to
Honorable Member, the request dealing with revenue, he's not responsible for. Again, honorable members, if you want to give a speech, I'll allow the honorable minister to respond. But you can speak to the policy for which the allocation is being sought. And let's keep our questions to that. I don't have a problem with, tracing back the year and if it's a rollover project, but if you're going to make the speeches, then we'll be here till tomorrow morning. Go ahead, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the audited statements and the annual reports of the GCAA are before this National Assembly. Every member of this House can have access to that. And I think it was properly examined that part of the problem was the super salaries that were being paid, of which the member asking the question was a beneficiary of that super salary. And she did not go to work for months. Months. And I said that publicly and I said it in the House.
Right,
Mr. Chair,
Member Walton is here.
if I may, I could do this all evening because the honorable member must understand that professional.
Honorable Member, this is not a debate over the estimates.
Well,
So at this time,
I have
you
a
need
follow-up question.
a question pertaining.
I do. I think we ventilated this matter in the public. Mr. is upcoming. We're on ICAO contributions. Could the honorable member indicate the percentage of compliance that we're at currently in terms of our ICAO compliance?
Whatever was the compliance rating at the last audit, that is where we are. We are due for an audit of which we are preparing for now.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member.
I have a follow-up. Has there been any interim activity or audit undertaken since the last audit? Either in the person of a full audit or what is called an interim ICVM. Has there been that? And if so, when was it?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, for full disclosure, in preparation for IK audit, the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority has been receiving technical support and help from the South American region, of which we are working with in preparation for an audit. So any assessments would have come from there to tell us how to prepare for our audit, and that's where we are.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member. Honorable member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, if I can take us back to line item 6321, contributions to local organization. And if we were to turn to page 470, excuse me. Mr. Chair, I recognized that the Berbice Bridge Company was given a 160 million plus in 2023. And there's a revised sum there of 245 million and change. Can the Honorable, I have two questions on this. First, can the Honorable member explain the reason for the variance? And secondly, I note for 2024, you
This house for a supplementary, and that supplementary was largely to take care of the arrears that existed in the years before as a result of the increase of usage, because there's a subsidy, and the numbers that we have come to this house to be appropriated is based upon the best estimates we could have for 2024 at this time.
Thank you, Minister. Go ahead, Honorable
Thank you
member.
very much, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Honorable Member, for reminding me. You know, I'm 18, so kindly excuse. Anyway, Mr. Chair, Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, I note we have, it's close to 100% increase as from last year's allocation, which was 348 million and change. Can the Honorable Member explain or provide, a breakdown or a disaggregation of what this 705 million and change will be utilized for? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could
Honorable
just,
Minister.
for the benefit of the user in the house, I'll just deal with the Berbice Bridge first. We've had a 14% increase of traffic across the Berbice Bridge. In 2022, we saw 1,138,328 vehicles. In 2023, we had 1,298,842 vehicles, a 40% increase. To the Honorable Member, sir, the increase in the allocation for the GCAA, which will receive the full support of the member asking, is for us to take care of expenditure as it relates to the audit that is expected late in this year, to ensure that we have the necessary expertise in country, working with our people and all the rest of it. And right now, the GCAA is in a mode of readiness and preparation for the audit. So this money is largely to do with us ensuring that we do well at the ICAO audit, that we have the necessary compliances, that Guyana is on the map, that Guyana is doing well, and I'm sure every member of this house wants Guyana to be doing well.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson. Honorable Member, Ms. Walton Desir.
On the same item, Mr. Chair, very glad that the Honorable Minister has mentioned that we wish Guyana to do well, and that is indeed the case. Do you, Honorable Member, have a disaggregation of that sum in terms of how much is being spent on, for example, IT, the IT component of it? Is there any expenditure on the information technology component? There's the regulatory, there's the IT. Do you have a disaggregation of those sums?
Mr. Chair, I can tell you that 7 million. The monies are being spent to ensure that wherever there are deficiencies, we have the necessary framework, because you are assessed on your own law. And I'm sure you're aware of that. And we have a situation where we have to do quite a lot of work, because even though we had a new civil aviation bill of 2016, the compatibility of the bill and the regulations were not necessarily in place. And it's just those deficiencies that we're having all of the experts in at this time to help us, and there is quite a lot of work that is being done. I would not want to be discussing all of that in detail in this house at this time, since you're going up for an audit. But the support is to ensure that Guyana do well.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Member, you know, you must give praise where praise ought to be given. When we took office in 2015, you know the compliance was 4.4%. When you took office in 2020, it was above 80%. So the coalition government must be given praises where that is concerned, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, I think I've exhausted my questions on this expenditure. So thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Chair,
Honorable Minister, you can address the issue of compliance record.
I would want to take this opportunity, sir, to join with the Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, to salute the professionals at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, because a country's ratings has nothing to do with the government that is in place. It has to do with the policy framework, the professionalism, and everything of our people. And you would realize, and I'm sure everybody in this house will know, you're not compliant because a government change in 2015. There was work that was being done before the coalition came into government by the professionals, and they continue to do their work. They continue to do their work to ensure that we got the rating that we got the last time. And I want to congratulate them and say that this entire house wants to work in their support to ensure that we do well this time again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I think we have exhausted the questions under this program. So I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, pages 174 and 175. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 312, Public Works, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Okay. I'm sorry. Is Mr. Chair, just a second.
312, current.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. To the Honorable Member. Let me see if I get this thing right. Yes. Under staffing details, Mr. Minister, I recognize an increase about two staff. But what is heavy is on the contracted employees. 6116. Last year, we had a total of 204 staff members. And this year, you're adding like another 28 persons. So can you explain the reason for this vast increase in the contracted staffing details, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Chairman, with a program that would have delivered 4,260 roads between 2020 to now, you need people in this ministry to work. Sir, with a program where we would have had more than 282 projects in the hinterland, we need more staff. With a program where we would have maintained more than 123 kilometers of roads in the interior, and where we would have built more than 15 kilometers of rigid pavement roads in regions 1, 7, 8, and 9, and where we would have built about 14 kilometers of asphaltic concrete roads in the interior regions, in a way where we would have worked with the massive public and main access roads projects in Canal Number 1, Canal Number 2, Blackbush Polder, several places in region number 5, the Hoop Branch Road, Cane Grove, Myconi Branch Road, and with the kind of work that is being undertaken in Georgetown, that is happening right now at Conversation 3, even though it's delayed, Cemetery Road, even though it's delayed, Independence Boulevard, Arapaima Street, 4 lanes at Aubrey Barker, the development at the seawall, the development of the green spaces across the country in collaboration with the First Lady, the massive work that we're doing in terms of maintenance of city fences and building new city fences. Engineers, clock works, technicians need to be in place. People for the labs, our soil and material labs, people for checking on the quality of work. It is just the scope and magnitude of what is happening. And I would want to take this opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to say that even though we're understaffed, in comparison to what we're doing, the men and women at the Ministry of Public Works are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, follow up to the honorable member. I heard he made reference to lab technicians, people to check off the work and all manner of things. So can the honorable member state to this committee of supply whether these positions will be advertised, and if so, what procurement method will be utilized to have them hired?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the honorable member who was in government know that you don't budget for vacancies. So you know that these numbers here are already people who are catered for in the system. So I don't know if we should go down the line, but I will tell the honorable member that a lot of the people who we have now in the Ministry of Public Works, you'll be proud to know are some of our Ghana scholars and people who have been studying in this field, who are serving their country while they're on contract at the Ministry of Public Works. Young, bright Guyanese men and women.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, while I hear the honorable member about the scholars we have serving in the Ministry of Public Works, Madam Priya, just give me a hearing, please.
I'm giving you all the ears.
In
Please.
Public Works, Mr. Chair, I'm fully aware of many political lackeys serving above these very qualified people at the Ministry of
Honorable Member,
Public
you've been
Works.
doing so good. How are you going to refer to staff at the ministry as political lackeys? Come on, strike that. I wouldn't even ask
Okay,
you this.
political appointees. I stand corrected, sir. Okay, moving on.
Mr. Chair, I think I owe the House a response.
Go ahead, Honorable Minister, because she didn't ask a question, she made a statement. And you have every right to
Because, Mr.
respond.
Chairman, there are two politicians at the Ministry of Public Works. Yours truly, the Honorable Bishop Juan Edgil, and my colleague, the Honorable Deodat Indar, the only two politicians at the Ministry of Public Works.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson, be careful with the statements rather than asking the question.
But I withdraw, Mr. Chair. I withdraw. Mr. Chair, may I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6241, rental of buildings. I recognize a small increase for 2024. Last year, 1.8 million. This year, you're asking for 1.920 million. Can you explain to the Committee of Supply what would have caused the increase in rental? That's one. And secondly, where are these buildings located?
Honorable Minister.
I'm sorry, sir, and you can also provide the Committee of Supply with a disaggregated amount for the various buildings the ministry will be renting.
Mr. Chair, there will be no need for that. These are three buildings that the Ministry of Public Works is renting from the MMA at Onhuak. Government. Look at the low amount of money here. And it is to put up staff that is working in the region. And the only reason why there is an increase is because MMA, I guess, got to maintain their buildings and they've asked for a small increase of rentals. Thank you, sir. There's no need for disaggregated amount.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I thank the honorable member for his response. And may I turn the Committee of Supply attention to line item 6251, maintenance of roads. I note we have a small, decrease from the revised sum of 3.8 billion for 2023. So I notice the ministry is now asking for 3.6 billion in 2024. So perhaps in the interest of time, Mr. Chair, because the honorable member oftentimes boasts about the 4,000 plus roads that they have been doing across the communities. So it would be good for the honorable member to lay over to this National Assembly a breakdown of the roads that will be done and the cost associated with these projects, sir. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm happy for the opportunity for this conversation, sir, because the Honorable Minister presided as a minister at this ministry will know that under this line item is what we do. One, maintenance of roads, which is not just pothole patching, but we do weeding and cleaning. We have to do striping of the roads to ensure that we have the proper markings. And then when there is emergency works because of damage and the rest of it, I'm sure some of us would have been seeing in the media the stellar work of this, the work of the ministry's special projects unit that is taking place right now on the Rupert Craig Highway to ensure that you have a comfortable ride, traffic is not slowed up, safety is improved because of the cracks and craters that we're developing out there. This is what we do. And when we talk about maintenance of roads, it's not just Georgetown. It's across the country. We've had situations where the Quarantine Highway, and I'm sure the Honorable Member, Mr. Ramzatan, is aware of that, because of its years and the wear and tear and the usage of the road have been deteriorating at different sections. We have made a decision that we have to build out a new 4-lane, upgrade that highway. The 99 structures are currently being expanded. But while we're doing that, 6 lots had to go to maintain that road. We've had situations where road was maliciously damaged, and we have spoken about this, whether it's protests or what. Public roads must not be, and bridges must not be damaged by people. We've had to maintain those roads. The fires, when they were finished, we had to go in and get those roads fixed. So that is what we are doing here. And, you know, we would like to do more. I can tell you, the Special Projects Unit, apart from the maintenance of what is happening, whether it's from the airport to Georgetown, which we've had to do a significant amount of maintenance. And Mr. Chairman, I hope at some time when this House discusses this issue of weight restrictions, we will have the support of everybody in this House. I would have liked to have the scales right now, but you know the story, sir, we don't have them. But the issue is, a check, Mr. Ramjatan, trucks that are built to carry axle load of 8.2 tons are currently fetching 25 tons per axle. So that means that the weight is not on the axle, but on the weight is on the road. And if any Guyanese traverse the East Bank Road from the Soesdijk to Georgetown, you will notice that the western side of the road is what deteriorates, because that is when the trucks are coming with the load. On the eastern side, there is some amount of damage, but not the full amount of damage. And all of us as a country, we got to come together and say, look, we can't be throwing money in fire by we are building roads with international standards, but our people are not following the standards when it comes to the loading of trucks and the usage of trucks. Because it's not just the driving, but it's when they stop or they have to slow down in traffic. And that moment to take off is where the road comes under stress. You get bulges like we would have had at Grove. And the team is right now out there doing some work. So we have to look at this issue. And I want to also address the issue of trucks going into communities as well. We can't have these locked trucks because the man wants to visit his wife to drive into the community to park. Trucks with 60 tons going into communities and breaking shoulders and the rest of it. We have to be able to say, look, commercial traffic will be in Guyana with us, especially with oil and gas, but we have to be able to say these are roads that are built to highway standards to take tonnage of 100 tons, but the axle load must also be balanced. And these community roads, if you want to take stuff in, you got to de-stuff your container. You got to de-stuff the canters, smaller vehicles to get in. We can't break a front road while we're trying to build a back road. And we've been very strong, even with contractors who are walking excavators on the road, a new road to go in and build one that they just got a contract for. So we have to be able to come together as a country and say, listen, this nonsense must stop. Together we have to maintain our roads. We can't throw money to fire, and we have to keep maintaining.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I thank the honorable member for his lengthy explanation. But before I put the other question to the honorable member, I would like to say to this committee that SPU,
go ahead.
yes, the works being done by the Special Projects Unit of the Ministry of Public Works is as a result of myself and Minister Patterson equipping that unit to do extensive work in communities. So I just want to put it on record. Put it on record. Mr. Chair, the honorable member made reference to the huge trucks traversing our roads. The question I wish to put to the honorable member, who approves of the importation of these trucks and their registration?
Honorable Minister.
So first of all, sir, I would like to thank the honorable member for recognizing the work of the SPU. But just to indicate that a name change doesn't mean something didn't exist before. Because Minister Ben would have had a force account. It's the same force account that is now being called Special Projects Unit. We've always had force account. And I would like to thank the honorable members of this house because we came here with a supplementary. And if you remember the questions I had to answer at the end in December, we have just equipped the Special Projects Unit with 2 additional teams, machinery to do, so we could, rather than having 1 team, we could now have 3 teams. You will recall that in 2022, you approved monies here for us to be able to buy a milling machine for the first time in this country. So we are doing what we need to do, whether we call it force account or Special Projects Unit. Thank you for the support.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson. Honorable Member Ms. Walton Desir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a follow-up for Honorable Minister. Where are we with the crafting of weight limit regulations? I know that there are some that are old, maybe from the 80s. Where are we in terms of updating the regulations?
Honorable Minister.
We have a consultancy that is being undertaken right now with support from the IDB. And I can tell you that even before we come to laws, because let's discuss this issue, weight restriction must not become another form where you could do a hustle at the side of the road. When a truck comes through from a quarry on the Linden-Mabura Road with 25 tons per axle, when it's supposed to only be carrying 8 tons per axle, it destroys everything coming down there. The Linden-Susdike Highway, it comes to the East Bank. So while we see the East Bank more often because lots of us don't go to Linden, the Honorable Member, Mr. Figuera and Mr. Sears will tell you about what we call it, the waves, the undulations that are happening there because of those same weighty vehicles. Then even with the maintenance of the roads, the Honorable Member, Mr. Robeson Ben, who's quite experienced in this field, when the rain is falling and these trucks are plowing through without stopping, and we have potholes and they become huge craters. So my idea, and I think the House's idea should be, like what happens at the airport? If JetBlue says 50 pounds, you go to the corner and you take it out. It's not just about a fine. Because if you fine the person and you allow them to come through the weight, the damage is going to be more exorbitant than the fine. So you got to take out and put in the corner. You got 12 hours to pick it up. If not, then you have further trouble. We do that with the Demerara Harbor Bridge. We knew that we had to save the Harbor Bridge because of the weight restrictions, the breakages that were happening. So the trucks, when they're going over there, have to go on the scale. And then you see them like weighing sugar there with their shovels and they're taking it out because we would not allow it. So we have to come together as a people, as a mature country, a people that is modernizing Guyana. We are building out Guyana, whether we're government or opposition. These are things that we want to see. Better streets, better maintained streets. We want to be able to see safety on the roads. This is something that everybody wants together. So these are things that we got to work on jointly. So I look forward for that, sir.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms.
Absolutely right.
Walton
about
Desir.
that. Road safety is everybody's business indeed. Outside of the mechanics, however, of how craters, etc., formed in the road, Honorable Minister, do you have an idea as to when we would have draft regulations? And I just want to say that, of course, the regulations will not be fining, but they will set out the entire framework for the restrictions. Do you have an idea as to when those regulations maybe will be in draft and sent to the AG's chambers?
I can say to you, Honorable Member, through the chairman, we are anxious to have them in our hands. So it is a work in progress. We're anxious to have it in hands.
Thank you, Minister.
But while we're waiting for it, there must be some voluntary compliance. If all of us in this house says this is wrong, and we lend support to collectively, people will start pulling themselves up. I believe that that is required.
One final question, not to belabor the point.
Honorable member, please go ahead.
Could you advise the House as to the reporting mechanism? I live in a particular area. There's a truck there driving and mashing up my street, or there is a bulldozer or whatever heavy equipment on a road that it should not be using. What is the reporting mechanism available for public-spirited citizens who may want to report that?
Honorable Minister.
The reporting mechanism, Mr. Chairman, that exists right now are public-spirited citizens who inform the ministry, and some of them who even take pictures and put it on Facebook. There's a shaming campaign, and some people just don't have no shame because I don't know if I could say that in this context in the parliament where shame is a prohibited word.
It is.
But Mr. Chairman, listen, I believe in strong and tough legislation. But we have to be able to get society to collectively cry out against something. And this is where the gravamen of the argument must go. People must not allow it. If they see it, bring it to our notice. Our Facebook pages, people make the telephone calls, we send out the engineers, and sometimes we get the images from the cameras. Huh? Okay. I'll be come to that just now.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, in the interest of time, I will have to forego so many other questions that I have because, you know, the Honorable Minister is just gaffing his way through to eat up our 2 hours. But before
I think the gapping happening between you and him equally.
But, okay, sir, but before I bring the curtains down on this particular program, I would like to turn the member attention to line item 6272, electricity charges. I recognize we had a revised sum of 379 million in 2023. And I note for 2024, Honorable Bishop, you're now seeking 416 million Guyana dollars. So can you explain for this committee the reason for the increases and which offices are likely to benefit from this line item? Please don't go too long, sir, in your response.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, this is what is called being a victim of your own success. This is to pay for the additional street lights that people are demanding, and we have to put in communities.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And to the Honorable Member, I thank you very much for responding to my question. So I'll end on this note, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 312, Public Works, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, turn to the next 2 pages, 172 and 177. And I propose a question that the sum stated for program 313, Transport, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to the Honorable Member. I recognize there's no staffing details here, 0 for staff. But the ministry is requesting in excess of $324 million for this particular program. I note maintenance of other infrastructure. I guess that relates to age homes. Am I correct, Mr. Bishop? Okay, good, sir. The other thing, Mr. Chair, 6282, equipment maintenance. I note we have a large increase from 119 in the revised column for 2023. and you're now seeking 195. Can you explain to this committee reason for the increase and what equipment will be maintained? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'll go back to what I said earlier. In areas like these, you will see increases because of the scope of work. We got to maintain more computers. We have to maintain things to the special projects. The staff of the transport section is catered for in the same contracted employees that you asked for. This is just a program, but they're part of the WSG. And the equipment, the more use, more maintenance. And I don't think I want to go on. We got other bigger things to discuss in $1 trillion budget.
Thank you, Honorable
Getting
Minister.
computer servers and all the other things. You know, those 119,000 is what we talked about here in $1 trillion budget.
Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, like I said before, there's so much I would like to ask, but I will hold my questions for another time because we have other bigger things, as the honorable member stated earlier, to discuss. So I've exhausted all of my questions on this program. Thank you very much.
Even to say no, the Honorable Member has a speech. Honorable Members, I now put a question that is sum stated for Program 313. Transport current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable Members, let us turn to page 504. And I propose a question that the sum stated for Program 311, Policy Development and Administration, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Anna Ferguson. So, the Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And good afternoon to the Bishop and his staff.
Good evening.
Sir, government buildings. The capital works, government buildings, sir. Can I start with asking the Bishop, sorry, the Honorable Member, that 6.699.387 was expended prior to 2024, sir. In 2022, sir, we expended 2.4 billion. 2023, we expended 4 billion, sir. 4 billion, sir. Can I ask the Honorable Member the status of this project?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And you will recall that this is a question that is before the House as well, so I'd also give some information. The government of Guyana has determined that we will seek to consolidate our offices into strategic places for efficiency and economy. We are building an office complex of 4 towers, 12 stories high, that could accommodate 6,000 staff with other amenities to create that environment for great efficiency. At the time of the engagement, we were going with 10 acres of land, which I identified at this house. But when we went back to our drawing board and reviewed our connectivity network, we are seeking to reduce congestion and increase accessibility. We might have been creating a congestion because of where we were locating it on the Eccles-Mandela Interlink Road. So we have since been able to move the location of the project to the new interlink road that will be between Ogle and what is now called the Jaguar Monument. Along that, 1 kilometer away from the Eccles-Mandela Interlink Road heading east. It means that you will have direct access from those who are coming from the East Coast, Berbice, or from the east, those who are coming over from the West Coast, the Demerara Harbor Bridge, would be able to get over through the bridge into Peters Hall, connect, and you can get to that building. People from Georgetown will have several accesses into that using Eccles-Mandela Interlink. Those coming from the upper areas of Linden and West Demerara. So the area that is now located becomes more suitable for accessibility. And we've been able to get 20 acres as against 10 acres. So there is no mystery about this. So what would have happened? We have had to ask the contractor after he signed his contract and was in the mobilization stage to wait with us until we could have gotten that sorted out. And his procurement process and so on would have already kicked in. So we are in a, or I should say, we were in a holding pattern. But you will have seen the land has now been identified. The signboard that the honorable member asked to be put up is already up. And we are advancing with this project now. We apologize to the nation and to the House for the delays. But the delays is for the good of all of us because we wanted to ensure that what we are doing is bringing relief and not bringing struggle. Right now, anybody who comes down the Heroes Highway and you're getting into Sheriff Mandela, you know at 8 o'clock in the morning, the congestion is massive. Think about 5,000-6,000 workers plus people wanting to do business, heading to that building along that artery, what it would have caused. So the removal of the site, not far away, but down the Higgs-Bosch Road, which we have all the contracts out. Higgs-Bosch Road is going all the way out to the East Bank Highway with 4 lanes. And we have just also awarded a contract from the Jaguar going all the way to connect where the India project starts, because the India project comes through from Ogle to Eccles, and there's a connection, and then we have reached that connection. So that entire artery of Higgs-Bosch is being widened to be able to accommodate, and we will be on the northern side of that road. That's where the construction will take place.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you for that lengthy explanation. Sir, I'm still trying to get the honorable member to say how and what have we expended 44% of the contract price on. And may I remind the honorable minister that he is the one that is always at PAC, which is a member, saying that they can only pay 10% and you pay on measured works. So, can I pose that question to the honorable? Under what authorization, what form did you pay 44%, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the project is $15.874 billion. So the honorable member could do the math and he will know his percentage is not correct. So that's the first thing. That's the first thing. I mean, we should come to the House with clear explanations. The mobilization advance was the mobilization advance was $2.645 billion, which is in keeping with the standard bidding document and percentages to be paid. And that was 2022. The 2023 allocation, 2.645. Do the math from 15 billion. And you will see it's not 44%. The 2023 allocation of $4 billion is what we had to ask the contractor to stop bringing supplies and materials because it's a prefabricated structure that will be going up in keeping with the new technology that is going. You're seeing some of the same kind of construction with the hotels and all the other things that are taking place. So we haven't spent 44% of the contract sum. So that's the first thing that is not correct.
Honorable member,
Mr. Chair, you spent 6.7 billion on a 15.9 billion. So you do the maths. You do the maths. Sir, can I say to the honorable minister, and I go back? Yeah, don't do the maths for yourself. Sir, can I and yes.
But you said you paid up in mobilization.
43%. I run it up to 44. But don't worry with the bishop. He's only yes. So, sir, my question is, sir, in 2022, sir, he said that this money is going towards a prefab building. 2023 budget. The Honorable Bishop said that the contract was signed and they're building a 12-story building. The contract was awarded to Caribbean Green Building, Inc., and is signed on the 30th of December 2022. Sir, in your press conference, you said you're now building a 14-story building. Sir, 14-story building, sir, which is no.
Mr. Chair.
let him finish.
Okay.
Sir, first and foremost, sir, this House and everyone would like to know, sir, where is this $4 billion worth of material? Because the Auditor General obviously missed this one. Stockpiled that you said you paid $4 billion for. Where is that? Where is it that you have to beg the contractor to stop bringing, sir?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, we're confusing things here. We're making a statement and then the question doesn't relate to what is asked. It's like if I say to you, an airplane is flying at 275 miles an hour and the wind is blowing at 60 miles west, what is the age of the pilot? So that is where we are here. So we are talking here simple management and procurement. A contract was signed. A mobilization advance was paid. A site was identified for the construction of the building. Never was Kingston. The site at Eccles at the Eccles Mandela Interlink, and I told this House that we have moved the site to another location, and our engagement is to get this building done. At this particular stage, sir, at this particular stage, we are coming to the House for 2024 only for an additional $1 billion for 2024. Only for $1 billion. And the reason why we're coming only for $1 billion is because we recognize, because of the delay, there is work that has to be done to catch up before we even come for more sums. We have put in place a consultancy that is now supervising this project, which is VICAB, and the honorable member is free to ask any questions, but there's no mystery, there's no money that is disappeared or anything of the sort. We have to deliver to the people. And as it relates, if I said in my press conference, Mr. Patterson, and thanks for listening, you should do that more often. If I said 14, I was wrong. And I could admit when I'm wrong. It's always a 12-story building. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, this project is really dear to my heart because so much money have been expended, approved in this National Assembly, and I can't see a design. I don't know about the site and all manner of things. But anyway, the minister stated in 2022, 2.6 billion, when we asked the question, where this building will be constructed, you said in the existing